Dear Venables and friends, as we scheduled, we are going to start the question and answer session. We'll start with the written questions, and as time permits, we'll see if there are any other more. So we'll invite Venerable to read the question for us, please.
Memories, when they come up, what to do when one is in a samadhi-like state, with no reacting, and these memories of past come up of things that were traumatic.
That is a question about the memories when you are in meditation. So as we mentioned, as we discussed yesterday, when there are no inputs, there are no new impeachments, past memories can come out. So basically the past psychological wounds coming out. It's a good healing process. But anyway, that unless otherwise you have a well-seasoned mindfulness, mind will get disturbed by the memories. So don't suppress it. If you feel it is distracting, you have to find the refuge of the primary object. Come back to the primary object. But after a certain time, after come out of certain amount of the seasoning, you can see that the memories to come out. Because you have to make sure at any time whether you can go to the primary object or not. If you have the assurance, whatever the pulling nature of the past memories, if you have the ability to go to the primary object, that means memory power, the remembering power, that reminding is becoming weaker and weaker. There you can let the memories to come. It is like a healing effect. And otherwise, if you feel like a distraction, please go back to the primary object. That's the safe advice for a beginner.
In my practice, concentration comes, my screen becomes a light gray color, hindrances are subsided, and I sit in a sort of very equanimous state. But then memory of my past comes, some torture I have lived through. At this point, I observe the memory as if I were looking at a cloud. There is no detectable emotions of any kind. I'm always surprised I can have this neutrality towards the transgression committed. So my question is, I can quickly pull my mind out of the memory and back to meditate. But is there any or some benefit to just watching this? Just watching this. Yeah.
So the latter part is the furtherance of the same question, so answer also the same. If it is a torturing kind of memory, and if it is happening frequently, easily you can notice when it's happening first time, second time, third time, fourth time, its impinging nature, it is torturing nature is reducing. That is the way, that's the one advantage of letting it happen. It will happen first time, it's a very, very harsh, highly scorching. And when it's happening again and again, the power of inflicting or torturing power is reducing. But hardly any yogi looking at from that viewpoint, because many do not like with this memory, so therefore you can't see the qualities of the memory. You have to see qualities, you have to have a kind of a welcoming idea, accepting idea. Never mind, let it happen, no harm. But again, the asking question, under such circumstances, is it advisable to go to the primary object? Yes, if the memory is going to give a unbearable kind of the torturing, the primary object is your way out. But after a while, you will understand this, instead of suppressing, instead of looking away, you can be with it as well as you have the confidence when and where I can go to primary object. So therefore, if it is happening, that's a kind of a healing process. Because it's happening as a condition which is less in intensity, slowly disappearing. Even the bodily pain is also the same. When it's happening at the beginning, it's a quite torturing. But when you are looking at it specifically with the prepared mind, then they are not so much of torturing. And then mind is becoming ready for the going for still higher grade pains, mental or physical. This is how your immunity is increasing slowly. But it is painfully so. But that's a kind of a healing process. And so therefore, these are the side effects, byproducts of the meditation. And so you must know how to tackle them when and where such a thing happens. If you are not ready, just go to the primary object and take refuge of the primary object. But occasionally it is advisable, let them happen. There you can see, one day, tomorrow we are going to discuss it. One day you will see the primary object as well as this torturing memory exactly the same. There is no much difference. That's the point, your maturity, your personality, your immunity is increasing. So this problem is that you are measuring and you are observing your own improvement. But happen it with so much of experience, so therefore at the beginning you feel like no reduction of the torturing nature, it is ever coming and never ending like. No, it is not. More let it erupt, come out. It's the capacity, it's a torturing capacity is reducing and the mindfulness is gaining the power. So therefore one day you will understand, and after a while, once you master it, you can, your mind become, your mental power become contagious. Even anyone suffering, you can take it. You can heal it. So therefore, first of all, you have to start with yourself. And then later you can do, it's a telepathic system or compassion by just listening. That is what we call in the psychiatric treatment as the pre-association. Letting the other person just talk. While talking, it's the inflicting nature is reducing.
When I transition to walking meditation, my attention naturally holds both the breath and the feeling in my face. Is it okay to hold both in my attention, or would it be better to focus solely on my feet?
Better to focus on?
Only on the feet.
Yeah, that is also the same thing like this memory. You must understand in sitting, you are focusing into the in-breath and out-breath, the air element. When you are walking, it's the touch, the earth element. So these two differences are there. So you must understand primary object. In walking, still the breath can happen. Because you are giving so much of attention to the breath, so while walking happen. So let that be side by side, or one after the other. So still, if you have any doubt, keep your attention always with your primary object with the touch, with the walking experience. But don't refuse the other breath, just like the memory. Because it's also happening in the present moment. It is not imagination, it is something, bodily phenomena. But you must give the priority to the primary object. And later you will find the whole body experience. Walking is not a not limited to the legs. You can see the whole process. The system is walking. And there the breath is just part and parcel. So that is how you start with one single reductionist point, and then ultimately mindful embraces whole process, the whole body. So therefore let the mind to get seasoned, let the mind to get diversified, let the mindfulness to get diversified, and just you be aware, here, now, I am. The whole set of experience rather than specific. But that particular person who is writing is having certain amount of doubt. Under such circumstances, yes, you have to take refuge of the primary object.
I know that the strength of the boundless place is unexplainable, but it seems that we focus so much on concentration and not much on love. We could give to poor families and create love. It seems more accessible and reliable.
Yeah, the loving kindness and the self-enlightenment. Two things one has to weigh. The Buddha's way is be mindful and mind your business first. Otherwise, they're thinking about other things. They appear like very, very emotional and attractive, and but you are not qualified yet. Your mind must be really, really liberated. Your mind must be really purified. Then only the metta become very effective. The metta or loving kindness have three layers: mental level, verbal level, and physical level. So whatever you are thinking about, metta in terms of physical level is the weakest. And then the verbal level. The best is mental level. If that family you can teach mindfulness, that's good. Rather than giving a packet of meal, of course, without food, without basics, very difficult. But you must not stop. Your own self understanding about the well-being, physical, verbal, and mental. Once you develop certain amount of this thing, then you can help others, not limited to the physical support, not verbal, but even to the mental. So in that sense, if you have that kind of a long journey with that particular person or family, keep on practicing. But by just giving the physical part or the materialistic support, you being a practitioner, you can do a better job.
Do the 6th, 7th, 8th precepts aid in concentration?
6, 7, 8. Yeah,
and how?
Usually when we become samanera, that means novices, we take 10 precepts. And if you take first 5 precepts, your samanerahood will be broken. They are decisive. The killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxication. And the others are peripheral, supportive factors, the restraining from the staple foods in the evenings, and not to entertain the music and the dancing and singing and all the kind of thing, and not to take higher luxurious beddings and the seats, and using money. I'm talking about the 10 precepts. But they are not directly affecting or directly cutting off from the samanerahood or the novicehood. But where, for example, that the 6th and 7th and 8th precepts, while you are indulging it, if you say the 4th precepts, I am not lying, then not the 6th, 7th, 8th precepts are disturbing you. You are becoming a liar. You take the vow, I am not to lie. But still you are entertaining. This is how invariably in an informal way, it is distracting. So therefore, 5 precepts, early 5 precepts are the core aspects. The others are, you must be true to type. If you have any mistakes happen, you have to renew the precepts. But try your best to maintain it up to the 4th precepts, not to lie. Yeah, moving.
Any advice for easing the pain of losing a very dear loved one? I know all is anicca, but that knowledge does not make it easy.
Yeah, your pain is that become a pain because he is your friend. You have a relationship with. So much of people are for the moment in suffering. It doesn't matter. You worry only for your friend, your family member. It is because of your attachment. So therefore you try, you justify that you can't tolerate, that you can't face. Because of not that particular person, no compassion, but it is your self-love. So therefore, whatever you do, may be successful or not, but you cannot get rid of all the suffering from the sentient beings. Even the Buddha was not. You can't stop it. It says in the canon that the moment the Buddha became enlightened, even the hellfire was stopped. And people and the celestial beings, the human, everything felt something very hilarious, but not throughout. So therefore you appoint and you nominate that particular person, that is your self-love only happening there. So therefore, by healing, by pacifying, you can't get much. Rather than by practicing, you have to understand this is how he or she becomes related to me. That particular person only giving the infliction or irritation because of your love. And imagine now you are worrying about your mother or father, but what, of course, in Buddhist way of explaining, we have past life also. What about the mother of the past life? We don't know. Mother or father of the past life. And in Sri Lanka, jokes are there because when one person is died, we used to give dana. We used to give 7 days in 3 months' time commemorating, giving dana and past merits. And you are killing animals, killing, how do you call that, broiler chicken on the dana day. He may be your father died. And killing and giving dana. So what about the broiler chicken? That for them, for that broiler chicken also you have to give the 7th-day dana, 3 months dana. So this is how it happens. Because when someone becomes yours, someone becomes related, you have a special consideration, you become blindfolded. You don't understand it is happening due to your self-love. For egotistic consideration, it's very difficult. So specific, that is not a problem in the non-meditators or non-religious kind of people. But for the meditators, always the reality, under the nose experience, direct touch become very insignificant, and these things become significant. So there you have to have a Dhamma investigation aspect of the Dhamma. Dhamma vichaya. Sharp investigation. Everything is to make you eccentric from the present moment. Everything appears very hilarious and very feelingful and very emotional. But what happens is, you miss the bus, the present moment. So under such circumstances, still keep the present moment. That itself is invariably help others. May not be the particular person, all the other sentient beings, because your vibrations become good. So therefore, please be mindful and mind your business.
ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ ආනාපාන සති භාවනාවේදී ආස්වාස කිරීමේදී මුල මැද අග දැනෙන නමුත් ප්‍රාශ්වාසයේදී නාසිකාව අග පමණක් දැනීම සාමාන්‍ය දෙයක්ද? නැතිනම් සතිය මදි බවයි.
So it says when you are singular, I will first give the single answer. So the ආනාපාන සතිය කරනකොට මොකක් හරි තේරෙනවා නම් වැඩි පටන් ගන්න තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ආශ්වාසයේ මුලැමැදක පේනවනම් එන ආශ්වාසයේ මුලැමැද අග පේන බවට වග බලා ගන්න. ඒකට ඉබේම ප්‍රශ්වාසයේ මුලැමැදගත් ක්‍රමයෙන් පේන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. අපි බැලුමට ඔක්කොම පේන්නේ නැති උනට කමක් නැහැ. හැබැයි මේක තේරෙනවා නම් ටිකෙන් ටික දවසින් දවස තමයි ආශ්වාස ප්‍රශ්වාස දෙක පිළිබඳ විස්තර විභාග පේනවායි කියලා දිගට යන්නේ. එතකොට නොපෙනිච්ච දේ ඉස්සරහට පේන්න පුළුවන්. This question, to translate into English, it says that when I try to see the beginning, the middle and the end of the in-breath and out-breath, in-breath fairly I can manage, but out-breath not in such detail. So is it natural for someone to have that, or is it lack of mindfulness? No, even the beginning, the middle and the end of the in-breath, it's a kind of improvement from the just in-breath to detailed in-breath. As far as you maintain the capacity to see each and every in-breath with this much of detail, that is the way you push mindfulness to be more efficient, and time to come. One day the out-breath also will be in detail. So therefore, main thing is not to worry about not clear in some aspect of the out-breath. Take the chance of the in-breath, that is you are already improving, continue, and mindfulness is learn the skill, how to tackle it. That means you are promoting your efficiency of mindfulness.
ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ සමාධි සම්බොජ්ජංගේ එදිනදා ජීවිතයට යොදා ගන්නේ කෙසේද කියලා පැහැදිලි කර දෙන්න.
සමාධි සම්බොජ්ජංගය කියලා කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම භාවනා වැඩමුළුවක ඉන්නෝනේ එක අරමුණක එක ඉරියව්වක ඉඳගෙන කරන වැඩ. ඉරියව්වෙන් ඉරියව්වට මාරු වෙනකොට අරමුණෙන් අරමුණට මාරු වෙනකොට ඔය සමාධිය ගැන හිතන හොඟ දෙනෙක් හිතනවා සමාධිය කැඩෙනවා කියලා. හොඟ දෙනෙක් හිතනවා සතිය කැඩෙනවා කියලා. නැත්නම් එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙම වෙන්න ඕනෙම නැහැ. අපි මේ උදාහරණයක් විදියට රිදෙන නිසා අපි කකුල පොඩ්ඩක් දිගාරිනවා. ඉතින් එතකොට අර ඉරියව්ව වෙනස් වෙනවා. වෙනස් වෙනකොට ඉතින් අපිට හිතට රෝගයක් එනවා, චික් අපරාධයක මේ හිතේ එක ඉරියව්වෙම දිගට ඉඳගෙන කරන්නේ මොනවාද හොඳයි කියලා. මොකද ඉරියව් මාරු කරලා පස්සේ තිබුණත් වැඩිය හොඳට සතිය පිහිටනවා නම් ඉරියව් මාරු කිරීම ලාභදායකයි. එහෙම නැත්නම් අර ඉරියව් මාරු කරයි කියලා කියන හිතමන අපේ අනසල්ල නිසා ලාභයක් ආවත් වැඩ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා ඉදිරියදා වැඩවලට සතිය සමාධිය දියුණු වෙන්න නම් ඉරියාපද සම්දිස්ථානවල සතිය පැවැත්වීම අවශ්‍යයි. ඒකට කියන්නේ සම්පජාඤ්ඤය කියලා. සති සම්පජාඤ්ඤය කියලා. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒකට කියනවා සතිය කියන්නේ සිහිය නම් මේක සිහි නුවණ. අපි හිතන විදිහට කැඩෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා කැඩෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන පැත්තෙන් බැලුවොත් අපිට ඉදිරියදා ජීවිතේ කවුරුත් එක්ක කතා කරනකොට හරි, ඒකක් හදනකොට හරි, පලා ටිකක් ලියනකොට හරි වෙනදට වැඩිය සතිමත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නෑ ඌ වයිදි කරන්න බෑ සතිමත් වෙන්න නම් අටසිල් ගන්න ඕනේ, සුදු අඳින්න ඕනේ, බාපණයක් දාන්න ඕනේ, පන්සලකට යන්න ඕනේ කියන පදරමේ හිටියොත් කරගෙන යන්න බෑ. ඉතින් ඒකට අවශ්‍ය කරන්නේ සතිය නෙවෙයි, සතියට එහාගේ සම්පජඤ්ඤය. ඉතින් ඒක සතිය තියෙන විතරයි සම්පජඤ්ඤය වැඩි. එනිසා අපි ඉස්සලා කරන්නේ සතිය ටිකක් දිගට පැතිරෙන්න හරිනවා. පැතිරෙන්න යනකොට ධම්මවිචේ සම්බොජ්ජංගය, එහෙම නැත්නම් මීමන්සා නුවණ, එහෙම නැත්නම් විචාර බුද්ධිය වැඩෙනවා ඒක. එතකොට තේරෙන්නේ අපි හිතුවට ඔය කියන හදාගත්ත සතිය කැඩෙන්නේ නැහැ. කැඩෙන්නෙම නැහැ. ඕනේ අවුලක ඕනේ සුපර් මාකට් එකක ඕනේ කොඩි ගහක් යට සතිය වඩන්න පුළුවන්. අර හැකි සංඥාව ආවට පස්සේ ඉතින්ද වැඩවලට දාන්න දෙයිසි. This question is about how to make use this concentration how to spread this concentration into day-to-day activities. For example, beyond the monastic atmosphere, beyond the residential retreat or something like that. The way I analyzed was that in a residential retreat, in a monastic atmosphere, you try to keep the same posture, the same object, and more you apply your mind to maintaining the same posture and the same object, then it is more conducive for you to develop mindfulness. Through that, the concentration. But if you happen to change your posture a little bit, or if all of a sudden if the object of meditation changing, untrained meditators, beginners think by changing the posture, by changing the object, the mindfulness and the concentration is broken. At the beginning it appears like that. But after a while you can understand, even if you change the posture, if you do it SMS mode, slowly, mindfully and silently, the damage is less. And after changing, you can understand by changing, I get better chances to be mindful or not. And even the object changes. The breath you can't see, but there's a pain. So instead you observe the pain. The pain also can give you a base or starting point for the mindfulness. So that means you must be ready to develop your mindfulness in the posture junctions, from bending to stretching, doing little bit changes. At that time, if you can maintain the mindfulness, not the concentration, it is like in relay race, when you are changing the baton, you are not dropping it. Smoothly you pass the baton. I think when I am referring to the relay race, I think everyone knows about relay race, passing the baton. You know it? Yes. So therefore, the 100 into 4, that means one person running all the 44 meters, 400 meters, so 4 people running lap by lap. And each time you are changing the maintaining the lead by passing the baton. So if you wish to take the mindfulness back at home or in the busy life, you must understand the posture junctions. You must understand object of meditation changing one to the other. It appears like a distraction at the beginning, but it is not. Once you introduce mindfulness, nothing can break it. Even you think my mindfulness is broken, my concentration is broken, understanding it is broken itself is a good thing. That is how you have to think positive way. And whatever the busy life you are living, once it is introduced, once it is installed, the mind will assimilate ways and means how to cope up with it. Rather, it happened with the mindfulness first, and then the concentration as a consequence or as a result of mindfulness. So therefore, don't think mindfulness is always with the single object and the single posture and undistracted situation. At the beginning, yes, that is how when we are organizing meditation centers, try to give least amount of distraction. But you can't live all the time life in the meditation centers, specifically lay people. We try our best as monks. And therefore, the Buddha taught it in a such a way, it can be diversified. The mind also ready, mindfulness also ready, concentration is also ready, but your limited thinking pattern, your foolishness, your idiotness, no, I can't practice with shaking mind and shaking objects like, yes, at the beginning take it as such, but one day you will be mindful while dancing. Okay?
I feel like my ability to concentrate on my point of focus has repressed while being here. I have only been practicing mindfulness and meditation for a few months. Yet before now, I could fairly easily sit for an hour. Now my mind is going crazy while meditating.
Yeah, because that you have here, you have focus on the concentration. That's often happening. Because people are generally very happy with concentration. But what the cause, approximate factor for the concentration? The mindfulness. If the mindfulness is there, concentration is natural. So if you are aiming at concentration, definitely a disappointment. So aim at the mindfulness. So if you know that mindfulness is now less, it's a good knowledge. It's a reality. Earlier it was good, now it is not. So you can't say mindfulness is steadfast directly into the improvements. No, it is having ups and downs. According to the concentration also get shaken. But don't worry about the concentration. Take care about the mindfulness. And then you have nothing to give up. Keep on practicing. Again, yet another episode will happen, is catching the momentum. There the concentration also will follow. So therefore the game is not to give up. Keep on practicing, not by low and higher ebbs. More and more continuous episodes. And the other thing is sharing this experience. It's beautiful. We are not getting discouraged, and we are not discouraging others also, telling, yes, it is like ups and downs. And later only, it go into the smoothness. If you follow a river, it's starting from the high mountain, and it's just lot of curves and waterfalls and kinds of. Towards the sea only, it comes the smooth run. So you can't expect a smooth run at the beginning of the brook or a river. So therefore, let that mature through gains and losses.
How to let go of striving for previous meditative experience.
I didn't get you, please.
How to let go of striving for previous meditation experiences.
No, it is not clear what is the previous striving. How to?
භාවනා අධ්‍යක්ීම ආපහු ලබා ගන්න උත්සාහ කරන එකෙන් වළකින්න. ඒක මම
Please read it again.
So how to let go of striving for previous meditative experience.
How to get the good decisions you had it. So there's no assurance. Not only in meditation, anything, any endeavor, any training, this is the way. There are good events and bad events. The person who is continuing will gain the end result. But if you are hankering and chasing behind how to get only the good results, that's another kind of a sensuous desire. Another kind of bodily comfort. The mindfulness look at the comfort and discomfort in an equal way or choiceless way. So therefore, that is what you are always expecting it, but never happen. So therefore, preparing and have that mindset is what we call maturity in meditation.
Dear Bhante, you have taught it many times, and during my meditation, clinging, wishing, craving won't let go. The wish for craving to end. The wish for craving to end is more craving. Do you think in one lifetime one can be free of this?
Yeah, there's one sutta, one nun becomes sick It's a love sick, not a normal sick. And she wanted to see Venerable Ananda. When Ananda come and do some sermon, she become okay. Ultimately, she got feverish and utterly sick, and she asked the assistant nun to go and tell Venerable Ananda, I am very serious, please pay a visit. But Venerable Ananda knows the story. So he goes and say, dear sister, there are 4 things for our body to have: the desire and the conceit and to have a body, you have a sexual intercourse, otherwise body won't happen. So mana, tanha, one other thing. And the Buddha says the desire for, the craving for desire can be gotten rid by desire itself. That means you try to have a desire to get enlightened. Then or desire. And your mana, that means your conceit also can be reduced by mana itself. You have a thinking, other people somehow they are maintain the 1 hour sitting, they are continuing with meditation, and why not? I also must have that kind of a thing. And I can't remember the third part, but the sexual desire cannot be covered by sexual desire. That is very dangerous. Then that nun get the injection, she got recovered. So there Buddha says, Tanha Nissaya Tanhaya Pajahata. Manam Nissaya Manam Pajahata. But don't go that way. So therefore, this is very clearly indicated in our many other suttas. People have many desires. I mean, when we pass in 50s, 70s, maybe some of you can achieve it, but nothing. Still you have the desire. So have a desire to end the desire. Then that become, some people take that very hard and fast. Then they go into the self-torturing part. It's a good one. You have to understand, by desire you can't do. You have to have a desire to end the desire. So that is called renunciated kind of a desire, not the worldly kind of desire, not the household kind of desire. So monastics have that. They have a desire to end the desire. So put in a simple form, have an appointment with the disappointment. You will never get disappointed. So monastic life is such. Yes.
So dear Bhante, you mentioned the importance of guidance from a teacher. What if a practitioner doesn't have a teacher? There are books, podcasts, and YouTube talks. Are these a good substitute?
Yeah, when I started in 70s or 80s, in Sri Lanka there were no meditation centers. And Bhante Ji also the same. And there were some people talking about this Insight Meditation Society and the mindful this thing from America and from Germany and from UK. So we had a small group, and they were very, of course they are very elderly. I was in 20s, and they were talking, we don't have a teacher for the moment, but we have the canon. No one can interpret the canon. Canon is talking about the mindfulness. Not a single Sri Lankan citizen know about mindfulness. Gone. But we had our relationship. And even Joseph Goldstein, he has gone to Sri Lanka at that time. Even the Richard Davidson. Joseph Goldstein as a teacher, but the Richard Davidson and others are as seekers. So when we are practicing, we don't laugh at me. We kept monks away from our society. Because they are utterly misleading people. In Sri Lanka, politically, socially, economically, so therefore our thing was recognized as a lay meditation center. Not allowing monks to come, because they are not true to time. They are not doing the task. Of course, after I decided to become a monk, it is a separate story. And so we had that situation. While we are discussing, we utterly, very simply, we humbly, we discuss each other. This is what we do. Of course, we had 2 hours. Wednesday, 1 hour we are sitting, and Sunday we have a talk. Very beautiful, very interesting. There's no particular teacher. Then it happened me to become a monk, and then I was searching about a teacher, and I changed my mind and went to Nissarana. And when I go there, I found a safe haven. Because you can practice as you like, and mindfulness is accepted. And I had fair amount of literature, and I started practicing, never interfered me. And went to Jnanananda. And ultimately I found that is the proper place. It happened accidentally, like. Otherwise I had no any criterion to follow who is the teacher. Because my lay group was very good. They were there, but they never recognized as teachers. We are co-practitioners. So therefore, when you are humble, very simple and honest, the Dhamma come along your way. That is a special phenomena. And so therefore don't give up. Even though you don't have a teacher, and when the teacher is there, you get a special attraction with the teacher. It is more than a love affair. And the teacher, they have heart attack and they die early. Yeah, sure. I am not a joke. This is not a joke. Because you get so much of attraction with the teacher. And if the teacher do not know it, and ultimately they are asking and counseling and all the suffering and pain put into the teacher's mind. And they don't know limits. And they commit suicide or they have early deaths. So you have to have a teacher themselves must understand, not to have any kind of such a thing. Because Dhamma is there. And if you also must have your simplicity, your honesty, your humbleness. And have you heard about Thomas Merton? Read. And he says, if you are humble, you are in heaven. You are in the paradise. If you are shrewd and if you are not honest enough, you are chased away from the paradise. So simply just be simple citizen John. Then Dhamma will come along you. Because of your conceit and your all the other assuming frame and kind of thing, even the teachers can't find. Teachers find difficult to have the direct communication. So therefore, we have to say Dhamma is in the cosmos. You have to make your plate free, empty. Otherwise, how a teacher can pour? So just be humble, just be simple and honest. Then Dhamma will come. But if a good teacher is available, of course, Bhantiji and others, it's a blessing to the whole country. But don't make it an excuse telling that I can't practice because I don't have a teacher. No.
Can sound be a meditation? Can sound be a meditation?
Yeah, there is a sound of silence. That is called Nada meditation. And in Hinduism, it is very well. And the Tibetan the music of bells, they have that the singing bowl. This is very common, very popular thing in the mindful school. When the class is very noisy and kind of thing, we just count the bell. And when the bell sound is reduces, they slowly become mindful. So we give the bell, introducing the bell, telling that this is an indication, please don't make noise, just calm down. So 2-3 times bell is happening. And in the Hindu way of practicing, they say the beginning of the world is just a sound. From sound only everything happens. So therefore, if you go with the Om sound, you can go to the beginning and you can create the word. So we in Sri Lanka, we translated 3 books. Listening to the inner sound, In Search of Silence, and Sound of Silence. And if you go to Amaravati in UK, masters. Everyone knows how to listen to the sound of silence. But it is not enlightenment, but it's a kind of a way you can go into that solitude. Whatever the noise outside, you can listen to your own sound, the sound of silence. Because it is always there. Because of the noise, you can't go into that. But the person who trained easily can go into sound of silence.
Can numbness be a sign of piety?
No, numbness is as such, it is not. But when the meditation happens, first the attention goes to the epidermis, and the meditation deepen and deepen and deepen. Ultimately, attention comes to the central nervous system. When it is happening, epidermis become numb, and the other muscles and the blood vessels, everything become numb. And ultimately, your whole thing is come to the central nervous system. When it happens externally, if you are really concentrated and really mindful, sometimes you feel mosquitoes are coming and searching everywhere. No blood. Because blood circulation and the heat is centralized. These areas, they keep on searching. Of course, at that time, your mindfulness is distracted. So therefore, external sensitivity is sense-based. People use the external part for beautification. And that's the biggest business in the world. Pharmaceuticals. Beautification. So that is how people go for indulgence. But when the attention goes in, outside appear like benumbed. Outside appear like not sensitive like. But of course it is coming and going. So therefore it is, as mentioned, it is a sign of mindfulness. But benumbed, the term itself, is a kind of a mishap in the body. But that kind of a phenomena can happen in meditation also.
Are there bad consequences to one's progress if one is inclined to vitakka even after the flow begins? If I continue to apply attention and keep doing, is this wrong?
Yeah, that if you go to the jhanic explanation and kind of thing, in the first jhana, vitakka vichara is in use. For the second jhana, it's a block. If you keep on practice vitakka vichara, you never go to the second jhana. At that time, you have to drop it. Otherwise, the piti or the rapture never happen. So therefore, vitakka, even in meditation, the noting and the labeling, to a certain extent, yes. But after a while, once gathered the momentum, don't do it forcefully, because it is dropping by itself. It too, just like a Saturn V 11 rocket is going, it is burning 3 rockets. Once it is burned, it has to drop it. You can't take it further. And then the second rocket. And the third rocket. That is so much of burning just to cross 6 miles. And the whole journey is 1,000 miles. And after you pass the orbit, you are only traveling with the shuttle. Not the big, this thing. So therefore, when you are starting meditation and again going back to lay life and again starting, like you are burning the 3 rockets, and after 6 miles again you come back. And again going. You see, 80 or 78% full, you are burning to the first 6 miles. So lay meditation is such a wasteful operation. After going there, you never go to the space odyssey. You come back home to see the wife and go.
Some people are really loud in meditation hall. Combat my anger, I empathize with them. I say maybe they don't know how much they are a disturbance. Uh, maybe they hurting, maybe they don't intend on making so much noise. I also think, why am I angry about this? Or I simply let the feeling fly away. Where in the sutras does the Buddha talk about this technique?
There's no such detail for my understanding in Sutta, but I read some books from Webu Sayadaw. He was a very famous one in Burma, just or contemporary before Mahasi Sayadaw. So he do not understand the theoretical understanding. He just practice. So he take this example. He says, while you are sitting and just gaining the concentration, someone start coughing or putting the chair up and down, and that kind of sounds happen. So you feel very sorry, because just you start to gather the momentum, but distraction happen. So he give us a different interpretation. He says that at that time, your mindfulness is broken even by a cough. It is so weak. So therefore, you must make a point. Now I understand my mindfulness can be broken by a little sound or coughing sound or slamming the door. Therefore, one day I must develop my mindfulness strength. So same whole, after a while you can understand. Now people have doing the same kind of noises, but I am fairly above. And then you can understand, because my mindfulness is now steadfast, so it is not easily broken. At that time, when that happens, he says, you feel like thanking that person. Because he is the only person gave a hint for you that your mindfulness is just broken by a cough. So you have to put up the energy. And then he says, even you feel like thanking, don't go to him and say thank you very much. Don't be a fool like that. So that is a very common thing when you are gathering together. No one wanted to make noise, but it's some accidental thing happen. The day you make kind of a thing, you will understand it is never intended. Sometimes you just move it and it drops. You are pulling a table or something like that, sounds can happen. So therefore, early practice is there. So once you go on beyond that, you will understand that is a benchmark to tell you your mindfulness is so succumbed, so weak. That is why I am worried. But not to worry about the external source. Try to put up the immunity level, and one day you can experience the same whole. Now I am not carried away for a ride by a sound. And there you feel these fellow meditators, people, those who are coughing, is helping me. And don't cough purposefully.
Bhante, what is a Buddhist? Am I a Buddhist?
I don't know. I also sometimes feel, am I a monk or am I a Buddhist? Because I feel still, specifically in my dreams, I am always wearing the short without authorization, and I am running up and down in the muddy places and sort of thing. I feel something wrong. And sometimes I feel I am handling money. Then I feel, what is this? It's a dream. Because in the normal day, I am a monk, but in the dream world, still I am just a village lad. So I don't know. You will say that I am a monk or not. But I always entertain. So therefore, these are labels. As far as labels are, they are suffering. The Buddha says, nothing on this earth which is not labeled, not being labeled. So everything is for your suffering. Those things not labeled never give suffering. You give a label because of your attraction. So therefore, computer science means utterly giving labels and giving label and repeating. But the life can be run without labels, and aboriginals and the animals, they may also have some labels, we don't know. But more labels means more tension, more frustration. So therefore, try to do away with them. Whenever necessary, you can use it, but don't make it a compulsory thing. Specific labels.
Can you recommend a book about jhana? Any suggestion for attaining jhana?
I know that book is not the single variable. So when I was reading Venerable Jnanaponika's 7 stages of purification and Vipassana Jnana, and he explained what is necessary, very simple, not a big. And Mahasi Sayadaw's book also, Practical Insight Meditation, also talk about the necessary part when you are going, what are the jhanic factors, what are the functions, what are the opposite of jhanic factors. I mean, these are good, helpful. But if you are following a teacher, if you have a series of guidelines, they are well protected. Even without your basic understanding, you can proceed. This is to say that if you are going the trip by using a map, you must understand the map reading. But if you are going with a guide, map is not necessary. The guide will tell you not to turn this point and come this way, but the guide is little expensive.
In addition to my meditation practice, I have read suttas in English. There are many differences between PTS originals and modern translations. Therefore, I started studying Pali. I believe you did this as well for many, many years. Is reading the suttas in Pali necessary to understand the meaning of what the Buddha said? Thank you.
Still, by learning Pali, you can't completely comprehend. The Majjhima Nikaya book, even Bhikkhu Bodhi itself, refined, I think, 8 times or so. When he was in Buddhist Publication Society, we go there, his room, so much of copies are there, abandoned. So they come and they refine it again and go for the next print and to the next print. And the Pali Text Society, the character is not a single one was a monk. They were literally. But Bhikkhu Bodhi is a monk. And Venerable Jnanaponika is the Jnanatiloka and Jnanamoli, they are monks. So therefore people believe what those who are living up to that. But still the evolving, specifically the Sutta Nipata. At least 5 translations are there. So different from one to other because language is so archaic. And therefore when the 2 terms come together, the meaning is, the shades of meaning changes. So it's an everlasting effort. You have to keep on practicing, keep on learning Pali, keep on reading. I think the Bhante Ji is a very good example. He is giving so much of emphasis. Keep the sutta always in acquaintance with. Read it again and again. When you are reading the same thing, still there's different because of your practice. So therefore, they are necessary parts, but there's no shortcuts.
What does the Buddha say about the power and significance of group meditation?
Power
and significance of group meditation.
Yeah, there are some suttas. One particular one, it says that one day the Buddha was living in a forest atmosphere, and today is the end of the rainy retreat. And when he's observing, many are half improved, not fully. So if the Buddha is going to declare the end of the rainy retreat, they start journey and their way of life will be shaken. So he decided not to declare the rainy retreat. And there he says some senior monks taking 30 people and teaching. Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Moggallana, Venerable Kassapa. Some senior monks taking 20 people, some taking 5 people, like they have groups. So their relationship is really catching and developing. So therefore the Buddha declared no end of the retreat. And everyone came to know something special. So people right round started coming to that. And that means one teacher is taking 10, 20 people and then teaching. Not everyone coming to Buddha. So therefore group meditation systems were there even at that time. But nowadays, present moment, Mahasi Sadhu is the person, according to my understanding, had this group meditation, group and interview patterns and timetable and everything came into the shape and came to America and other countries. So all the others are follow suit. So group meditation is good because when we are endeavoring as a group, there's a good vibration happens. So more the number of people, good, but when we go to the jhana row, 60 people can sit. If one person coughing one time, that means 60 people. Each minute you have a cough. In Sri Lanka, we have 100. So it's very beautiful. And you won't believe when 100 monks are meditating. This eyesight itself is very beautiful. 100 monks coming and meditating. So noise is some other aspect, but it's a kind of a very good eyesight. There's something to see. So group meditation is some people, and very nice story Venerable told in the Bodhinyana in New Zealand. He says when he go back to his New Zealand, he's a Canadian. When he go to Canada, he's having a center. And Buddhist people come and give dana and lunch and the breakfast, and 12 o'clock they leave. And the Canadian people come at 12 o'clock, they start meditating. Occasionally, the people get late and they come and see inside the whole people sitting and waiting. They don't know what they are doing because they know only give dana. So they come and ask the monk, this monk, what they are doing. And when they come, the sitting people, they ask, who are the people coming and roaming around here? They don't know. They are the people giving food. The other people evening come and sit, meditate. They never communicate to each other. Two worlds. So group meditation is something new for the lay people, those who are only happy with dana. Dana means donation. What is your name? Dana. So dana people do not meditate. Meditating people don't give dana, they don't worry. They eat something and meditate. So, but when they come and see, they are lying up and sitting and waiting, it's something new. So this is the social aspect of group meditation.
When I see the world as it is, with animal cruelty, environmental degradation, I want to change it. How do Buddhists approach activism? I'm thinking that a refined mind can see the sadness in the world, act on it, but not drown in it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that is why. Yeah, last time also I told that the world that you see is what you created. It is a suffering world, torturing world, and exploitation world, and all the kind of thing. But once you develop your mind, you see that is what gave you the hiatus to understand what I have to do, your duties, not by leveling the earth or saving a people. You will be extrovert. The example given is the Buddha given is that when there's a boggy place or muddy place, you can see people are bogged down and they are trying to escape from the muddy place. But you can some or the other manage. But if you try to lift one person up, what will happen to you? You will pop down. Best thing is get into a dry land and use a rope, use the stick and get one by one. As far as you are in the boggy place, you are not qualified. Mentally you may be thinking, but first you have to go to a dry land or safe place, and that is the difference between Maha Karuna and Maha Panya, the wisdom aspect and the compassion aspect. So it is practitioners must have the balanced understanding.
What are some fun books on mindfulness game for children age 11 to 19?
And mindful games.
Books for mindfulness.
Yeah, we have in our website, we have 3 books. Each one is having 10, and we are making a bank of mindful games. And there we make people active, but still try to be mindful. The singing ball, the mind jar, and shall we do some mindful games? No, Bante will chase us. So each and every session we have, either we go to a school or something, we gave a session of sitting and walking and a discussion, we start mindful games. So they never expect that in a meditation place that we have that kind of games. In the scouting we have the camping. So likewise we have a lot of games and a lot of books also available, mindful games. And they are not simply the concentration, not calm and quiet, but you use appropriate technology and how to sort out this as a group or as a single person, indoor, outdoor. So if you wish, you can download the books that we have published, www.satipasala. Satipasala means, Sati means mindfulness, Pasala means school. This is mindful school. www.satipasala.org. And there, if you can go to the books, you have mindful games.
And what are some easy scholarly books on the history of meditation and the neuroscience, metaphysics behind it?
No, that I also a reader. So I got the American Joseph Goldstein, Richard Davidson, Daniel Goleman, and John Kabat-Zinn, and so likewise that exhausting all the books I purchased and read, because they are presenting in a good way the mind, the thought without a thinker, going to pieces without falling apart, and wherever you go, there you are. And the Japanese book, the Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, they are giving the Western thinkers or Western people, giving a kind of a very good way of presenting Dhamma, not in the religious background, but in a way of thinking. But in whenever Jnanaponika and others in the Buddhist Publication Society, they are more traditional. It's the most established organization. It is founded, based in Kandy, and I mean, many places you can purchase it. So there are some books I made, I think 4 or 5 years ago, I had a list. But crazy books also, they are in my list. I am easy that I am such a person. But there I listed all. These are the books that was very remarkable for me and got a lot of insight, because they are sharing very generously. So, but always don't think that it is a must. At present day, it is a kind of a way. Very nice, good writings are there.
Once I have discerned that I have enchantment for Vipassana practice, should I still start with the breath? Or should I start noting immediately once I am seated?
Yeah, that is what is the primary object should be. Is it always must be the breath? or whatever may be conspicuous. And in Visuddhimagga it says, Yatha pakatang vipassana biniveso pacha anuvattan tenapi upayena upattapetva sammasitapa. Where whatever the prominent thing is the access for mindful insight. Don't expect all the time the in-breath and out-breath to happen. Because some people can't feel it. So therefore, whatever the prominent, when that there is no such prominent occasional thing, then you take the in-breath and out-breath. So therefore, once you establish certain amount of mindfulness, you may diversify wherever you go, whatever the prominent thing happen, nothing rejects. And start with that. And after a while, for example, when you are doing walking, still the breath can happen because you have been familiarized. So likewise, the mind will adopt and see ways and means to where to start.
There is a lot of significance and symbolic power in the connection with nature. The Buddha gained enlightenment under a tree and was born under a tree. What suttas specifically talk about the spiritual power behind all living beings and the earth in its purest form?
Yeah, I mean the constellations and places and all these things are the most powerful is your mind. Once that is trained, everything is below. So at the beginning to start with, you have to take care about what is the best time and the best place and all the kind of thing. Once it is developed, mind becomes. So therefore, the beginners, it is there the Buddha says, Aranyagato va, Rukkhamolagato va, Sunyagaragato. Whenever he mentioned about Anapanasati, he always mentioned about the macroclimate and the microclimate. And then after the posture, sitting posture. So there is a stock phrase. So if you wish to have long-term meditation, take this guidance.
When I meditate and I feel it to be the most beneficial, I am aware of many phenomena at one time, like sounds, physical feelings, and thoughts. In this space, I can easily see a thought and gently let go of it. The frequency of thought interception reduces. But I don't focus on the breath until frequency of thoughts become overwhelming. Sometimes I switch awareness from many things to one thing. If, for example, I feel intention in my shoulders, I focus on releasing tension. Is this called something like jhana? Or what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that our mind is very happy with multifaceted things. But in the mindfulness as well as in the concentration, we try to take a repetitive, intermediate object. And when it's going to go there, but the outside world is always the multivarious. So therefore, very difficult that the monkey mind to keep track with the primary object. So as far as you know the idea, what is the purpose of primary object and how is the mindfulness and kind of thing, that means your mindset. When you are going to the meditation, your mindset know how to tackle multivarious thing or single thing. Multivarious thing is more towards the vipassana way. Single thing is more to the concentration, but both go in hand. So therefore, after learning long only, you can give others instruction and they spare your experience. So still, it's a lifelong experiment because the situations are very, very changing, unpredictable. So therefore, mindfulness is like the central thread. And to that only, you add whatever it is happening, like make a garland, always keep the mindfulness intact, based upon primary object like in-breath or out, in-breath and out-breath, or posture junction, whatever it may be, you must have a thread. And to that only you are adding all the flowers, whatever is happening, just like making a garland. So for that you have to be a fairly senior meditator. Till that, best thing is to give the most conducive conditions, and then get the germination takes place, rooting takes place. So once you develop the skill, the Buddha says, you can't help but you feel like sharing with others, which is such a nourishment, it's a nutriment. So once you come up to a certain level, you just share with others. So that is why even if you are not meditating, if you are living with meditators, if you are living in a conducive situation, you get the good vibrations.
Excellent.
Okay, today also we have taken 22 minutes more than the scheduled time. So we have now almost, the time is 5:52. So till 6:30 we'll have a walking meditation, and we can get together for a group sitting at 6:30. Thank you very much for the participation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.